And we are on. Hello and welcome to Sports Unhinged. I am Mo. I'm joined by the guys Mark, Ujita, and Coach. And today we've got a special guest, our New England Patriots supporter in the group, Andy Turner. Andy, welcome to the show.
Hi, guys.
Welcome, Andy.
Andy's one of the few that's been a New England Patriots fan for a while, and his loyalties must have been tested, as with most Patriots fans, after Tom Brady left to the Buccaneers. But you stuck with them, Andy. How come you didn't change your colors to the Reds of the Buccaneers, like maybe 50% of the Pats fans that I know?
Nobody wants to go to Florida.
No.
Good point.
Including Urban Meyer.
Yeah, absolutely.
Urban Meyer.
He lasted, 4 months?
Yeah, all his hands are somewhere in Ohio.
Yeah. Where they belong.
On someone in Ohio, yeah.
All right, we might as well start with New England, right? So we've got, the Mac versus the Mafia coming up in the playoffs. The first time that New England are meeting the Bills in the playoffs since the merger. Andy, how do you see the season? If you can just give us kind of an overview of how you saw the season with New England and where do you think they can go in the playoffs?
I think it's been a pleasant surprise, to be quite honest. I mean, at the beginning of the season, I think I picked us to go 10-7, which is where we ended up. I think the defence has probably carried us more than people gave them credit for. They finally turned up after a couple of slow years after losing Flores and losing a couple of pieces last year with people opting out. I think Jones has surprised a lot of people. He got, it was a slow start. There was a lot of baby steps, gave him a lot of slack to grow, a lot of room to grow. But once they got his confidence in the team, things picked up, and we did look pretty good. And then, as is always the case, we lost to the Dolphins, and we struggled a little bit, and we are where we are. But we've still got a chance now in the playoffs, and we see how it goes.
And as a Panthers fan, I have to ask, how was it having Cam Newton around for a season last year, the year before? So.
Why?
The worst 20 minutes of Andy's life.
Now, why would you do that?
Why?
You see it across all sport, I think, don't you? People live on reputation, and then you live on a redemption story. And ultimately, as it turned out, everybody slows down to have a good look at a car crash, and that was pretty much what it turned out to be. It was just, Cam is not the player that he was with the Panthers when they really were a strong team, and he was the mark for that style of quarterback. He physically doesn't have it, and I think if he possibly still has a role as an impact player, but nothing. He's not going to lead a team again. He's gone. He's done.
So will your next question be, how did you feel about Antonio Brown's game? I mean,
he was there for
it's a great
plays.
Great follow-up.
That was like 4 plays, I think. I don't know. I don't think he lasted long enough to even mention. But we've got the Bills coming up, and week 16, same location, same team. You guys went up against them, and Josh Allen went, for 314 yards, 3 touchdowns, 104 passer rating. Mac Jones didn't have a great game at that time, 145 yards, 2 interceptions, no touchdowns, 31 passer rating. Do you see a repeat of that happening, or what kind of adjustments do you think Bill Belichick is going to make going into that game?
You saw 2 contrasting games. This is our 3rd meeting in 4 weeks, 5 weeks.
Yeah. A bit of a rivalry brewing here, right?
Well, I mean, divisionally, that's what we want. It's nice to be competitive in the division again. It's a shame that we're not winning the division, but you want competitive football. We saw 2 very different games. Jones's influence in both of them was minimal for one reason and another. You've got to look at trust, as we always say, trust in Bill. and hope that between the coaching staff they can figure out a game plan that will work. We're a little bit weaker on the defense than we'd like to be. There's just inconsistencies in performance more than necessarily personnel, but it's not been a great show in the last 2-3 weeks. You just mistake-free football. That's what will. If the Patriots are going to win, they have to play mistake-free football because they're not going to outgun Josh Allen.
Sorry, you just mentioned a few weeks ago that the bye week really didn't help the Pats. Would you agree? Because you were on a good roll until the bye week, and since
there's a bit of a momentum
loss
loss there.
Yeah,
it's you never want to stop, but ultimately everybody has to take a break, and you've got to. I don't know how big an impact that had on the overall performance. I think it was. You watch the games, as I said, we started making mistakes again. I don't know whether you would attribute that to the bye week or not. It was just where things had always gone right for 3-4 weeks.
Right.
A couple start going down, and it does have a bit of a snowball effect.
Now, Coach, I want to bring you into this. Now, the Bills have the number 1 defense in yards per attempt, in completion percentage, and overall defense. They're ranked number 1. They've been tired of saying they're number 1. They've only allowed over 220 yards against 3 teams, against Tom Brady, against Mahomes, and that really weird game against the Jets, which doesn't fit in the narrative. But if there is a weakness with that defense that New England could exploit, what do you think it is?
So I want to preface this before I answer your question. If you watch the first game of New England Buffalo, it's almost like they set them up for the second game. 80% of the looks that they gave Mac Jones, and he looked pretty decent in their first game, were single high safety, very seldom rushing him with more than 5. In the second game, they didn't do any of that. They were almost 60-40 the other way, and I haven't done the actual math, with multiple looks on blitz sections, rights, lefts, taking away flats, taking away underneaths, which is what Jones does the best, right? And it's shown he does the best. So to answer your question, I think that, Buffalo does a lot of what you do best and takes that away. It's not that they're special at anything in particular. It's not that they're a great run defense or they're a great pass defense or they're a great third down defense. They've done a really good job in the second half of the season taking away what particular teams do in maybe even the second half. If you look at what they've done in second halves of the season, so I think they scout well. I think they coach well. I'm not optimistic for New England, but as Andy said, man, I never count out Bill. You never.
Isn't there an argument to be made that their rush defense could be the weakest point in a very strong defense when it comes to the Bills, and that Damian Harris and the running backs of New England have been getting on a roll here, and maybe Bill Belichick can exploit that a little bit and try to get some momentum.
You're comparing weakest against what, right? So are we weakest against week 13, 14, 15?
Right.
Are we weakest against what New England does in their best weeks? Because in their best weeks, they do run the ball well, and they help Mac Jones control the clock well. And that's when they do their winning, and that's when New England's defense performs the best. So it just kind of depends. I think if you look at the weakest part of Buffalo's defense, it's definitely the run.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I also don't underestimate the offensive coordinator in New England. I think he's one of the better ones in the league. I think he can mix and match, take advantage of it, as you just said, with their running game. Also give them different looks so that maybe they look as single high on the left side and maybe underneath right side with a pistol look, and then Mac Jones knows exactly where to go. because those are some similar to looks that they had early in the season. So who knows?
And I think another weakness that the Bills have that, I mean, we're fishing for weaknesses here, but when it comes to penalties, right? I think they're 27th on defense. I think 20 something on offense. So they're one of the worst teams that are left in the playoffs right now when it comes to penalties. So that could factor in as well. But I think I agree with what Andy says. If New England are to win this, it has to be a mistake-free game by Mac Jones. I mean, the pick six against Miami last week, that can't happen again. So, well, Vegas is open now with Buffalo 4-point favorites, and the over/under is at 44. Shall we take a round quickly to bring in some predictions? Andy, I know what you're going to say, hoping for New England to win there, but are you expecting a high-scoring game or a low-scoring game?
Well, I don't. I'm usually wrong on these things. I don't. Given the weather forecast, I think it's going to be a little more attritional than high scoring. I think that we're looking at single-digit Fahrenheit temperatures and some pretty miserable weather conditions. So I don't think that's going to help anybody on either side, and I think that's probably what will make it more of an attritional game than an explosive one. So I'm not expecting it to be a high scoring game, but as I said, I'm usually wrong there.
Okay, Mark.
The closer, the lower the score, the more chance the Patriots have got. I think that's the way I've got to look at it.
Okay, Mark.
If New England can stop Josh Allen's running game, they're going to win. That's my view, and I think they'll probably do that. So I'm saying New England by 4 in about 20-16 games, something like that.
Ooh. Okay, Yujita, you've been quiet. Give us your perspective.
Yeah, look, Buffalo's found their run game. I think they've done about 100 yards per game in the last month. So, and I think they're going to keep doing that. I think for New England, Hightower and Van Noy will be very important in this game. They're going to have this cover the crossing routes because I think that's where Buffalo will go. As Mark said, if you stop Josh Allen and him getting out of the pocket so easily, that's where New England will make a game of it. But I think Buffalo has more of a momentum now going into this playoff. So I think I'll take Buffalo in this. Sorry, Andy, but Buffalo, but I'll keep it under. I'll keep it under because it's going to be a run heavy.
All right, Coach.
Buffalo to cover the 4 against Bill Belichick in the weather in New England.
Okay.
Wow, no. I'll take New England. I'll take New England. I'll take them as a win ticket. They'll cover the 4 easily as a +4, and it will definitely be under. The weather will keep it under, and expect something silly like the Tuck rule to come in, like the back in the days of snow and cold and Oakland or whatever they are now, and John Gruden, and give me New England.
I ran the numbers as well, and I'm going for a very, very close game that will go right to the wire. I'm actually going for over in this particular one, and I'm going 28-27 New England, and it will come down to a field goal, a final play, a pick six, a safety, something crazy that will happen, and New England will
a missed field goal by Buffalo with the last kick of the game.
Right.
So, hold on. Am I correct to say that you've not done that well in Pick'ems this year?
I was hoping to leave that till the end.
Okay, well, that's fine.
Yeah.
We'll let it go to the
please.
end. That's fine.
Yeah,
we'll talk about it in the end. I don't know what can I indied it. I'm the Indianapolis Colts.
We're going to call you Frank Reich from now on.
Yeah, I mean,
Wentz.
it's terrible.
Wentz. You'll be known as Frank Reich.
All right, we'll revisit the other remaining 5 playoff games in a bit, but I want to kind of go back to last week and talk about that crazy game between the Chargers and the Raiders. It's the timeout whistle heard around the world. Everybody's talking about it. A small group are actually defending Brandon Staley for that, saying it wouldn't have made a difference whether he called the timeout or not. But all the evidence shows, from the long snapper talking to Austin Eckler to Basacci's press conference later on, indicating that they were actually going to just go for the draw at the end. I mean, this is one of the young minds that was immediately compared to Bill Belichick, and he's one of those geniuses that is transforming football, and people went too far just because he's an aggressive coach. He goes a lot for fourth downs. Has he coached himself out of the Coach of the Year award here? Mark, what is your perspective on this?
Yeah, I think he lost track of what was going on, to be perfectly blunt. I think he forgot it was overtime. He wasn't going to get the ball back if the field goal was kicked. I think he just lost track. He's made a big error that he's going to have to live with until he gets the chance to put it right this time next year, if he can. Just a big mistake.
Yeah.
Human mistake. Awful.
And with that, the Raiders now go to the playoffs. Yujita, are the Raiders the absolute worst team in the playoffs this year?
Oh, I don't think so. I mean, I don't know where you're pointing right now because I have no clue.
It's the other way.
Steelers.
Yeah, the Raiders aren't. I mean, look, they've done enough to get to where they are. I mean, to take the Chargers game, and they went for that field goal. A number of things could have happened. Could have been blocked. Could have been run the other way. But they took the chance. And they went for it. And Pittsburgh, put them definitely under it. They're seventh, so I'll put them under the Raiders. The Raiders, look, they've got a defense that Gus Bradley can come up with some schemes to get Raiders a win against Cincinnati. I think I'm not going to go all out on Cincinnati for the Raiders game. I think we're going to talk about that a little bit later.
Right.
But I wouldn't say
I'm sorry, you're avoiding the question. Who's the worst team in the playoffs? You're avoiding the
Pittsburgh.
question.
Yeah.
Okay.
You're avoiding listening. All right. It's got to do with all your time on earth, but you got to listen. I would say the Steelers, because we know how the Steelers got to where they are. They fought it out. They ugly games. They came through. But the Raiders, I mean, they also had their all sorts of coaching issues, their wide receiver issues, Derek Carr, all that stuff. But I don't think they're the worst. Maybe second, I would think, but not the worst for sure.
Andy, do you agree?
I think the Raiders have got more talent than they show on the field. I think with Crosby and Renfro, if they have some ability there. They have game changers on the field. We all know all of the things that they've had to deal with off the field and the general chaos that tends to follow the Raiders around wherever they're playing, wherever they're based. But they have players to put on the field that can make a difference. They're relying heavily on things falling their way, especially against a Bengals team that are on a bit of a roll right now. But I don't think the Raiders are terrible.
Okay, Coach, let me go back to the Chargers, and I think from a coach's perspective, something tells me that maybe the timeout was not the most outrageous thing that you saw there, because for me, when I went back and looked at the game and looked at the highlights, the run defense for the Chargers was absolutely terrible. And I think there was one play where you kind of saw that this team is not ready for the postseason. It was a 3rd and 23, and they gave up 23 yards on a run to Jalen Richard. I think that was the point where I think everything started turning around for them. What else do you see in terms of the future for this Chargers team with this coach? What would they need to work on the offseason?
I like his reasoning, and after watching the game and listening to his press conference, he has a valid reason, and you don't just kind of make that. It's not like you're in the heat of it and go, time out, and then go to your press conference. What he speaks is likely the truth, and it's very simple. At that point, they've got a 55-yard field goal. He calls timeout. He's got one more, right?
Right.
Which means if they miss it, He's one completion from kicking his own field goal and winning.
But he took the timeout to realign his defense because he saw something he didn't like, and he still gave up those.
And
yards
they still
in the
gave,
run.
I
realign
agree.
the run
Completely
defense.
agree.
Yeah.
Realign the
agree.
run defense.
I didn't say the defense didn't succeed. I didn't say his reasoning was sound in what his defense pulled off. I'm saying that as a coach, you want to give that opportunity to whatever happens. Yeah. Now, with that being said, I would have never called the timeout. Let it run.
Right.
If you remember back to I think it was Ohms, New England, and Seattle, Bill Belichick never called that timeout at the end of the game, right? Because he felt like his people were more prepared in that situation to let it play out. They would be calm and succeed in what happened on that play. So if I look at what that does for San Diego, I still think it.
They're LA now.
For the Chargers, I still think that it gives them a little bit of confidence in the coach. You know, he's thinking of them. He's thinking of what can I do to set them up for success. Now, whether they pull that off or not, it's up to them. And I think that gives him stability as a coach, right? So I called timeout. I wanted to set up my run defense. I gave you guys the opportunity. Now, you didn't pull it off, but that doesn't mean I wasn't there for you.
Right.
So I think that gives him, I don't want to say an out because, listen, and it probably didn't lose the game, but it didn't tie the game either. So I do think that gives him a little bit of an in with his players.
But look, why did he have to adjust the run defense? He already stopped Josh Jacobs' run.
He adjusted it and came out with a vanilla formation. He didn't even come out with a blitz or something that is a bit different, right? He came out with a normal
gash for like 8 yards. I mean,
yeah.
What was the reasoning behind that?
Let's be clear. He doesn't call the defensive signals.
Yeah.
He is feeling like they're not in the right place. He calls the timeout, and then whoever calls the defensive signals. And then the players play. They have to get in the right situation. Who knows? Yeah. Those guys get paid millions of dollars to take what's called, even his assistant coaches, who's a defensive coach and a defensive specialist. They also get paid to put them in the right spots. Let's not cut away to give Oakland a little bit of Oakland. Let's not cut away to give Las Vegas a little bit of credit. Jeez, I feel like Mark.
Stop
I'm sorry.
living in the past.
You're making me look good.
The Raiders.
We need to book you an appointment.
Let's not cut away from them. You know, Jacobs made a heck of a run. He made a cut at the point of contact that did get them that yard. Or those extra yards. So don't take that away from them either.
Right, but what are the odds that Jacobs wasn't going to run up the middle? That would be the play the Raiders would call. They called that the previous. They're going to call that again.
Right.
The Chargers should have been ready for that interior run.
So I'll challenge you to go back and watch the film, and I want you to watch the center. Look at the two technique that gets blocked and released on the linebacker to open it. They didn't do that the play before. The play before they doubled it. And the Sam linebacker came in and closed. This time he looked to double. It was blocked by the guard, and he released on the Sam linebacker, and he did gain his yards. So give Oakland just a bit of credit, but also slam dunk the Chargers for not saying, hey, they might block it this way, so the weak linebacker come in and fill the gap. I mean,
it is what it is, but at least his job is safe for next year. He's not going anywhere. That wasn't the case for many of the other coaches. We've seen Zimmer being let go, Joe Judge being let go, Matt Nagy being let go.
Finally.
No
more Nagy segment on here.
But one of the discussions we've had on the WhatsApp group is around the firing of Brian Flores and whether it was justified or completely outrageous. Now, the media's kind of perspective on this is very clear that it doesn't make sense. It's going to put Miami in football purgatory once again until they find another coach. We went back and forth on this. Yujita, give us your perspective on the Brian Flores firing.
This is obvious, man. I mean, it was a matter of who got into Stephen Ross's ear first. And it's obvious that Chris Greer did it. The guy's been there, what is it, like 2 decades now with the organization.
All right.
So obviously there was something in the background. And he beat Flores to the punch. Flores is out there on the field taking care of business. This guy's sitting up with Stephen Ross, and we don't know what he's talking about. I mean, look, Flores has had a better win completion. I went back and looked at this. And the last time a better win completion than Flores was back in 2004. I don't remember the coach's name, Dan something. And so this is a clear, it's a dysfunctional team, right? You've had a guy who've come in, I think the first year, it was about 5-11, I guess. But then he's had back-to-back winning seasons. And that's the first time since 2002, 2003. So what's he done wrong here? Tua was Stephen Ross's guy. You picked Tua over Herbert.
Right.
So who's complicit in all that? Okay, you did give him Jalen Waddle, who's been great this season as wide receiver rookie. Okay, but then you put him behind an O-line that can protect him.
I think one of the worst
O-lines in the league. And you didn't do anything to beef that up. And you got Tua, who's a guy who can get 20-plus yards consistently. So this is not, I mean, we've had so many teams. Look, I'll take the Eagles as an example, because that's all I know. The Eagles have had, 3 coaches since.
Hold on, is this being recorded? That's all he knows. It's being recorded. Yeah, okay.
That is all I will say it publicly, man, out there. That is all I know. The Eagles have had 3 coaches, and the after Andy Reid, right? You had Chip Kelly, Peterson, and Sirianni. All have had plus 500.
How many years have they each spent there? Because I have a bit of a different perspective on this, and I'd like to get Andy in on this because it's happening.
Even the Eagles had.
He's in the tree. He's in the Bill Belichick tree. We got to talk to Andy about Flores.
But isn't it amazing to see a team in your division go through this kind of dysfunction?
I think the difference with Flores when you compare him to any of the other coaches, I mean, some of them were common sense decisions in, Joe Judge, Matt Nagy, they'd lost control of what they were supposed to be in control of. I mean, some of the stuff Judge was coming out with, he was getting fired regardless. I think the thing with Flores is, and as you typically see within the media, everyone's got their contacts, everybody's got their sources of information. There's very few secrets, typically speaking. And I think that's part of why the Flores firing got so much traction, is because nobody had been talking about it. There was no whispers, there was nothing, and then it caught everybody off guard. Even without that, I think people would have been surprised, because he's not ruffled any feathers publicly. He's got on with his job. He went down there as a fairly well-respected coordinator. Not always in charge of the calls in New England, but he did his job well. He had a well-run unit, and I think he's gone down there and he's made a lot of improvements in Miami. And some of the free agent signings didn't work out. Carl Van Noy followed him down there, didn't stick. Has come back and has played as if he never left for us. But Ajita nailed it. You've got a dysfunctional management structure. You've got an owner that doesn't live in town. He's not there every day. He's getting all the Chinese whispers as to what's going on and his favourites that he's going to choose to listen to. These kind of decisions, you have to assume that he's already got somebody lined up to replace him, because why would you make that call?
Why would you fire a coach? He's 8-1 in his last 9. Exactly. 8-1. He's not 5-4. He's not 4-5. In his last 9 games, we had some issues in the beginning. Their star quarterback, as we'll call him that, broke his ribs. He missed some games, and then they righted the ship, and he went 8-1.
And there's another coach in Carolina who was 1-8.
We'll talk about him in a bit. We'll talk about him in a bit.
To the dysfunction, as Ujitha and Andy so eloquently put it, to what's happening. I mean, there are other dysfunctions in Florida.
Right. But see, I'm on the other side of this argument, and because we can't just look
you
at
come
this.
from a dysfunctional team.
Yes, I do. But we can't just look at this at this season in isolation, right? They started terrible, and then they went on this amazing run. Brian Flores, like Andy said, has not ruffled any feathers. Take the likability factor of it out of it. Take all of that out of it. Just look at the numbers. You've got 3 years without reaching the playoffs, right? You've got a losing coach that hasn't reached the playoffs and he's been given 3 years. That is all you need to really look at this moment to justify it. Yes, does it make sense? Unless you've got someone else lined up. Usually, if you let go of a coach and he becomes the hottest thing in the market, maybe you've done something wrong. But at the same time, you've had a few distractions. The Deshaun Watson thing happened in the middle of the season. 2 out of the last 3 coaches before him in Miami at least reached the playoffs one time. He's a losing coach that hasn't reached the playoffs. So I think, yes, it's great that he's on the market. Whoever picks him up will be lucky. He's definitely the best candidate out there. But maybe his time has run its course in Miami. 3 years.
No, I genuinely don't think you can look at it with that perspective. If you want to be on the inside justifying the decision, then perhaps that's the angle that they're running with in saying that. I think if you look at the team that he inherited and the mess that they were and the organisation that he's put on the field in terms of how much better disciplined they are now. The Deshaun Watson thing, I can't imagine for a second was of his making.
No.
That's something that's been forced upon him to deal with. I don't think that can be held against him either. It's just they've been a competitive team for 2 years. They're in a very competitive division.
He's 4-2 against Belichick, so it's that's something.
Yeah, I mean he's
that should be enough.
He's not a fool. He knows his job. I would expect he was as gobsmacked as the rest of us when they told him he was going.
Now, I hope he ends up in Chicago.
Yeah, I think everybody that's looking for a head coach now would hope that he's there. Mark, very quickly in like 30 seconds or less, Matt Nagy, the era's over. Where do the Chicago Bears go from here? Do you trust the ownership enough to make the right choices at the head coaching position?
No, they've got Bill Polian in to help. He's very well respected. He's found some good coaches, many years ago. I don't trust the owners. The press conference that George McCaskey, the president, gave on Monday was hideous, awful. He shouldn't have bothered. He does one every year. He fired Ryan Pace. He fired Matt Nagy. The fans are happy.
Yeah.
Don't do anything else. Don't come on. And then he said, "I'm not a football man. I'm a football fan." I'm sorry, but you've got to be a football man if you're running a club, a fairly big club.
Right.
So no, I don't have tremendous faith in them. I'm hoping that the people they've got evaluating the general manager and head coach positions can do a decent job. Dodds for general manager, Flores for head coach would be a nice one for me.
Now, for me, the most outrageous thing when it comes to coaching is that Matt Rule still has a job. I mean, This is the guy. Out of all the coaches that have been fired right now, he's played against all of them, and he's got a record of 0-6 against all of the coaches that have been fired. He's already fired 3 assistants. He's fired 3 assistant coaches now: the special teams coordinator, the offensive line coordinator, the defensive line coordinator. And Mark just told me before we came on this podcast that he was on the radio or on a podcast or something with an interview, and he made more outrageous statements. He said that Sam Darnold is in the same category as Justin Fields.
And Mac Jones.
That
he didn't need to draft a quarterback in 2021 because he's got Sam Darnold.
And this worries me because that means that he's doubling down on the Sam Darnold choice. He actually said that he wished that Brady Christensen got more left tackle reps earlier in the year instead of swinging him around. So he admitted his failure there. He also said on passing on Rashawn Slater that he was not the ideal tackle size, and that they weren't comfortable taking a guard that high. And he's saying that, he's got a mobile quarterback in LA, which is why he's succeeding. It's absolutely unbelievable. I don't know how this guy has a job, but let's not waste more time on these guys and go back to the playoffs. Raiders, Cincinnati. I mean, we've touched on this a little bit. Cincinnati are 5.5-point favorites. The over-under is at 49. I sense that a few of you feel that the Raiders can pull an upset here. Andy, what do you think?
I think you've got to go on form, and that I think the Bengals at the minute on form are probably going to overpower the Raiders. If Burrow's given the time, he's going to pick them. He's going to pick them off quite nicely. I think. I think there is a very strong chance that they're going to cover that score quite comfortably, unless Crosby can get in his face and knock him off balance. Then I don't see the Raiders being able to stop him, because if they can't stop him, then Mixon will just run past him anyway. Yeah.
Coach?
Cincy to cover and big over. Blowout. Blowout.
Yeah. Yujita?
Yeah, look, I think Cincinnati is going to win the football game, but I don't think it's just going to be as easy as you guys think it is. I think, just like Andy said, Max Crosby and the other guy, Yannick Ngakoue, this is the best edge rushing duo in the league. And if those guys, and by the way, Joe Burrow is the most sacked quarterback in the league.
Yeah.
So that pass protection isn't great. And if these two guys get after him, get him up early. He threw only 148 yards in when they met previously. So it could be a tough game for him. The Darren Waller's back for the Raiders. They're going to use him on offense with Renfro. I know what you say. It's not going to be very, very healthy. Josh Jacobs doing some running. So I think it's going to be closer. Cincinnati will still win the football game, though.
Okay, Mark, you expecting any surprises?
No, I don't think it's going to be a blowout, personally. I understand why Coach says that. I just think it'll be a bit closer. Of course, this is a matchup of two teams that the Bears beat this year, which makes my life very frustrating. But no, I think the Bengals will win by 5 or 6, but I don't think it's going to be one of those where you're 20 points ahead in the first quarter. I
happen to agree with Coach. I've got Cincinnati 40, Raiders 13. I think it's going to be a complete blowout. So yeah, let's see how it goes.
It's the playoffs, man. One game, and
it's lucky you're not playing a pick 6 this week. That's all I can say.
Yeah, I get to be more liberal with my picks. Now, we're looking for surprises here in the playoffs. We've got Philly at Tampa Bay. Yujita, you kick us off with this one. What are your chances? I mean, we spoke over the phone a little bit. I told you that I'm kind of debating whether Philly could actually pull the upset. I couldn't do it. I've got Tampa Bay winning 23-17. So you still pick Philly to cover, but I'm still picking Tampa Bay to win the game. Obviously, you're going to say that, Philly can pull this off. If they do, how will they go about it?
Yeah, put your tackle box away, man. I'm not taking the bait. Contrary to valid rumors, I'm a realistic guy. Okay, the Eagles will have to put up an effort of epic proportions, and there's no doubt about it. Is Tampa Bay going to win? Yes, they are. Okay, they've got the people in places.
How could you say that out loud, man?
I'm still talking here. I didn't yield my time.
All right.
Okay. If I wasn't an Eagles fan, yes, they are going to win the game. They, this is the third best run defense in the league. So, but look, if the Eagles do ABC and then minus all the penalties that they might give, that's how they're going to win. A is, don't lose track of the identity. Number one, rush offense. Keep running the ball, but maybe not so much on the interior because you got Bitevai and Sue. And so you're not going to be able to do your standard running up the middle. You're going to have to do perimeter runs because it seems like JPP and Shaq Barrett's going to come back. So it'll have to be a little unorthodox. Jalen Hurts will have to make those RPOs work. And that's how they win. Just keep running the ball. Don't do anything crazy. Doesn't matter if you don't get too many yards, just still carry it like 30, 40 times. Even if it's 3 yards per carry, 4 yards per carry, just keep going at them. That's all you got to do. And on the defensive side, pass rush has been the issue for the Eagles on that defense unit, and it doesn't look like Josh Sweat might play. So if we can get off to Brady, we know where he is. He's in the pocket. He doesn't move out anywhere. If we can get up to him early, and if we don't cover the middle, and this is what people like New England and the Saints did, they covered the middle, went after him really early. That really flusters him. If we can do that, that's going to be a problem. I don't see anyone who really can cover Gronkowski. Darius Slay will have to play his, career game to take Gronkowski out. TJ Edwards. I mean, ever since TJ Edwards came in the 8th week, the opposing run yards has gone down by 40%. So that guy's he's been a big impact. So he's gonna play. He's gonna have a career game. So like I said, that'll be epic proportion effort to actually win this game. I think if the Eagles do win, it's going to be the biggest upset in, 10, 15 years in the playoffs.
And it's the right season for this kind of thing to happen because crazy things have happened there.
Crazy things have happened, yeah. But we wait and see. I mean, you still got Tom Brady in the playoffs. We can't let that overwhelm us. You got to get up after him early. Yeah.
All right. Coach, give us your perspective on San Francisco at Dallas. Now, Dallas is 3-point favorites. The over-under is at 50.5. I imagine that the line would be a bit more kind of that, Dallas would be heavier favorites here. They're only 3-point favorites. Why is that?
I think of all of the matchups in the NFC, Dallas does not want to play San Francisco. They're on a little bit of a roll. Their play callers are really rocking the play sheet. I've heard the word bully. They kind of bully defenses around. And I see that. I've watched, 5 of their last 6 games, at least the highlights, and they do. He's really in a groove calling plays. They've done what they've done best. My fear is that they rock back to the conservative play calling of Jimmy G in 2019, and you conservative play call enough to win the game and run it and try to bully. And the Dallas defense is much different. They have the ability to adjust. You can like Dan Quinn, you can not like him, but the guy can coach play to play. And he's got some playmakers on defense. So I like Dallas to win. I like them to be more than 3. I'm not sure about the over-under, to be honest, because I don't know where the offense comes out. I don't know if they go run heavy. I don't know if the offensive coordinator of Dallas is as savvy as everyone wants him to be and has a big offensive genius as everyone wants him to be, like the Joe Brady guy. Oh, wait, where did Joe Brady coach? Oh, never mind. I know. I'm not sure about that.
Very important.
The college team.
Yeah. Well, now it doesn't matter. I like Dallas to win, but I like this to be a close game. I think this is one of the few games I think I will enjoy as a former coach to watch.
Now, Andy, as New England fans are more familiar with Jimmy Garoppolo than most. From what you've seen, does he have the potential to actually become a great quarterback, or was Bill Belichick or were the New England Patriots right to move on from him?
I think what we've seen from him in San Francisco is probably what the Patriots realized they got while he was with them, is that he is somebody that does have a game-winning ability. I mean, he started a couple, was it a game and a little bit for us when Brady was out, and he looked great. How much of that was down to the system, I don't know. But I think that unfortunately for Jimmy, the sad reality is he is never going to be healthy enough to be relied upon. His thumb injury now, how much of an impact that's going to have on him this weekend, nobody really knows, because he's only got to get knocked once, and right. That's it. He's going to be spraying the ball all over the place like he was when he first took the injury. He went from looking pretty comfortable to being absolutely horrific. And against Dallas, they can't afford that. I do fancy the 49ers to win, to pull off an upset. I think the Cowboys played their Super Bowl last week when they never took their foot off the gas. And I think some of that, I think that will breed just because of how they are. I think that will put some complacency into them this week. And if the 49ers stay true to themselves, I think they have a chance of picking them off. But yeah, Jimmy's got to be healthy. He's admitted this week that all the talk about his future is unsettling. I honestly don't know who would want to trade for him at this point. And
for that reason, I think Dallas are on a roll right now. I think they win 35. I think I've got it 35-21. So I've got it at the over, and I think by the second half they'll just pull away there. All right. This episode is taking a bit longer than usual, but we've got a lot to cover. It's the playoffs. So let's move on to the next game. We've got Pittsburgh at Kansas City. Pittsburgh that managed to wiggle their way into the playoffs. I've had to go at them all season, and I'm changing my tone here, but they're 12, and I mean, KC are 12.5-point favorites. This is, the biggest line in the playoffs. Big Ben Roethlisberger in the press conference talked about, jokingly, sarcastically, Najee Harris didn't seem to get the joke about how they shouldn't be there. They're very big underdogs. They were lucky to get there, and they're just gonna go out there and enjoy themselves. Are these mind tactics, and could Pittsburgh pull the upset here? Anybody here thinks that Pittsburgh could actually beat Kansas City?
No.
I do. This is, if I had to pick a surprise upset in the playoffs, it's Pittsburgh winning 31-30 against Kansas City at Arrowhead in one of the biggest upsets, because it's been that kind of season. Now, we didn't talk about Indy in detail, but who would have thought that, Jackson, other than coach, of course, who would have thought that Jacksonville could actually pull off this upset? I've got Pittsburgh actually pulling it off. Because, there's not much to talk about here when it comes to kind of common sense and logic. KC have the best in everything over Pittsburgh. But for some reason, I just think it's going to be one of those mind-bending games, and we're just not going to, like, what the hell just happened kind of situation. Coach, I see you nodding. You're the only one that's nodding. Everybody else is shaking their heads.
Look, I think they found how they run the ball, and that's what wins championships, in my opinion. If you look at Tampa last year, those last 3 or 4 games and the 4 in the playoffs, they got into the rhythm of running the ball, right? And what has Pittsburgh done the last 2 weeks? They found a rhythm running the ball. And so I think that helps your play caller and your offensive coordinator. I think that, Jesus, of all the quarterbacks in the NFL, it helps Ben of taking that pressure off him. If there's going to be an upset, I think it's that, because they can control the clock. Now, if the Mahomes of old shows up, I'm completely wrong, but I'm not sure that guy exists this season for whatever reason. I have nothing to base it on other than gut. I just think if there's going to be an upset, this is the one.
Right. I mean, the bet for the Pittsburgh to cover 12.5, I think it's.
I think they'll cover.
For me, it's an easy one.
And I think it'll be under, or they won't cover and it'll be super over.
Yeah, super over.
There's no in the middle there.
Now, the toughest game for me to pick was Arizona at the Rams, and that's why I want to get everybody's perspective on this particular game. The Rams are 4-point favorites. The over-under is at 49.5. Mark, why don't you kick us off here with your favorite quarterback, Matthew Stafford, MVP candidate?
Love him. Wishes in the Bears.
How do you think this goes?
Hold on. Andy Dalton won't be with you next year, so be careful what you wish for.
Very sad.
Where's he going?
I don't know. I don't care.
He's going away.
He's going with Nagy.
He's going
He'll follow Matt Nagy.
Arena football.
He'll follow Matt Nagy to Baylor. If the game was in Arizona, I'd actually really fancy the Rams, because Arizona at home have been appalling. I think they've lost 5 games at home or something. So the fact that they're playing in Los Angeles helps Arizona. I do fancy the Rams, though. They just seem a bit more consistent. I like their defense so much. I really do.
How could you not? They've got everybody there. It's
Exactly.
Like
And they
I
just
don't know. It's
get
like
the
a Pro
job
Bowl.
done.
Yeah.
So I think this is going to be a 10-point game in favor of the Rams, something like 30-20.
Wow. Okay, Yujita.
I think it's an evenly matched game, to be honest. Given what's happened in the last few weeks, Arizona, I think they had a really good start to the season, but then the last couple of weeks, something has kind of dropped off. And it's evenly matched with how the Rams have been kind of up and down after the first 7-8 weeks too. So it's a tough one to call because even Kyler Murray, he looked a bit like how Mahomes did in the first half of the season, where he's too worried about the pass rush and just moving around way too much, losing yards, moving backwards in the pocket rather than sideways. Yeah, their defense is good. So I think if he spends a lot of time worrying if Aaron Donald and Miller and Floyd are coming after him and just makes a lot of mistakes with the passing game, the Rams could do it. And I'll agree with Mark. This is going to be a problem for. I think it's more pressure on Stafford here. Is he 0-3 in the playoffs? Is that what it is? You would know better.
Yeah.
Okay, so he's never won a playoff game. So
No.
The pressure is definitely on him. No more excuses of I didn't have this guy in Detroit. He's got Cooper Kupp, number one wide receiver. He's got the defense. He's got everybody. So I think the pressure is on Matthew Stafford. We don't know which Matthew Stafford turns up. So this is a really close game to call. I won't call it. I won't do it.
Wow. You won't even give us your pick.
I will not do it. Yeah.
Fire.
Screw yourself.
Fire.
I won't do it.
Right. All right. Andy.
Yeah, I think, Ajit has just nailed it. I think Matty Stafford has looked a little like Detroit Lions Matty Stafford over the last couple of weeks. I think he's been trying too hard. He's been forcing things. He's looked a little unsure of himself. On the flip side of it, the Cardinals have stumbled into the playoffs. They've really been adrift of what we all thought they were going to do for the whole of the season. I think the Rams defense will just apply too much pressure, and I don't think Arizona are going to be able to deal with it. If Stafford just needs to keep it simple, I think, and he needs to be reminded that it's not all on him the way it was before.
Yeah.
He's got plenty of players around him that he can give the ball to, and they will do the hard work. He doesn't have to force things. I think the Rams will probably win by 8-10 points quite comfortably.
Coach.
Can I say for maybe the first time ever, I have no idea. This time of year. Hold on, is this being recorded? This time of year, you look for somebody to be hot, and who's on the streak, who's playing well, offensively, defensively. Maybe their secondary is playing well. Maybe they're running the ball really well, and neither of these teams are doing either of that. You say LA's defense is, they'll do, they won't, they will. Right. They didn't last week when the chips were down. They failed against Jimmy G of all people, right? And then on the flip side of that, Arizona, they can't run an offensive play in a row, much less two,
right?
Even three. So, I have no idea. I think if you look for a catalyst, I noticed that J.J. Watt was on the practice field today. So, will he be available? Will he won't? But if you look for this time of year when both teams aren't playing that well and you've got that catalyst, that could be it. That doesn't mean I'm picking Arizona. I'll take the MVP Stafford to win just by a hair lip over Arizona.
I've got the same reasoning as you, Coach, but the other way around. Because when I look at the two quarterbacks, I've seen Kyler Murray do things earlier in the season that are just primetime TV. I mean, it was just out of this world, right? So I know that he's got that in him. We've seen enough of Matthew Stafford to know that he doesn't. He's got a good arm, and you know, in the playoffs, the losses in the playoffs are going to be looming over his head. He's got that kind of baggage to carry around psychologically as well. And they're at home, so there's an added expectation for them to win. And they didn't look good last week either. I think Arizona wins. I've got a 17-14 win for Arizona. So it's still under, but a very, very, very close game as well.
Arizona last week, they played Seattle, I think. The first half, they had 32 plays in the first half for just 73 yards and 10 points.
Yeah.
Kyler Murray, for some reason, doesn't know how to move the ball anymore. There's no big explosive plays, just dink and dunk, you know, short passes. So I don't know, boy. I don't know.
I think Matthew Stafford will get 3 touchdowns and 3 interceptions because that's what he does. But that will be enough to win because I do think that Kyler Murray really isn't on form. He was like a little lost boy on the sidelines last week. If you saw him, he looked very, very dispirited, and the coach has got to
even in the pocket
this week.
Yeah, even in the pocket, he does not look comfortable. Yeah, it's Mahomes from week 3, 4, whatever.
Seems a long time ago for him, really, when he was playing lights out.
Right. Now, I've kept the Indy topic right to the end because I was wondering, you know, how would it feel for Indy right now to have all that momentum, to be one of the best teams in the AFC with the momentum that they're going on, and then they throw it all away by losing to much more inferior opposition. And then I got to find out what that feels like very quickly, playing the pick 6 against Ujita. So and the way that it ended, let's talk about the pick 6 here. I got cocky. I decided to give a handout and say, let's triple the points for the last week. And looking at the way it turned out, I had 1 of 6 picks, 3 points. Ujita went on a 5 out of 6. Beat the expert, 21 points. Coach, a consistent 4 of 6 as usual. And the final score now is 90-85. So Ujita, congratulations. You are the inaugural pick 6 champion. And I look forward to getting you back next year.
I waited in the tall grass. That's all I did. I mean, I took advantage of your weakness and that you would be nice to me at the end of week 17 and give me those double, and I took advantage of it.
I don't know why I'm even talking about Indy.
Ujita used to say, if there's grass on the infield, play ball.
Yeah. No, but I don't even
cut my own grass, by the way.
I don't even know why I'm comparing myself to Indy. I mean, I did this in true Carolina Panthers fashion. I started off perfect 3-0, 6-2, and then didn't make the playoffs. So it's
and you were cocky too.
It was actually very apt the way you played this year. It was very Carolina Panthers. You're right. Perfect.
That was a good one, though. Well done. The Jags weren't bad. Jags played really well. Trevor Lawrence played like he's been playing like 5 years in the NFL.
Still inexcusable for Indy. I mean, coach, as from a coaching perspective, I mean, inexcusable, right?
The first 25 plays of the game, they ran the ball 8. 8.
With Jonathan Taylor.
With JT in the backfield.
8.
Yeah,
8.
With Carson Wentz and Jonathan Taylor.
Yeah.
Great play calling.
So let's look at the old 8. Yeah.
What is Carson Wentz's contract there? How does it work? Is he expected to stay there for next year? Or are they paying him a lot of money? Do they have a lot of guaranteed money?
If you carry on talking, I'll find out for you. But
but yeah, I mean, I wonder because you've got to find. He's not the answer.
So last I heard, it's possible that he'll be the starting quarterback in Carolina next year.
Oh no! Please, no!
Competition between him and Sam Darnold. And Andy Dalton will be there as well.
Indy has given us another first-round draft pick. Thank you, Carson Wentz.
Yes.
Thank you, Carson Wentz.
You guys are...
Miami gave us one. He gave us one. We're all good. We're all good to go.
Yeah, and you don't do that well with him, so you need all the help you can get.
I mean, this is the point I was trying to make. Javi Roseman, this is the reason why he survived, why Eagles had 3-4 coaches after Andy Reid. Because he gets the people in place.
Yeah.
Coach has got to do the job.
Mark?
Wentz is there till 2025. He's a free agent.
Oh,
Oof.
fantastic. Wow.
So
Wow.
they've guaranteed
Oof.
total guarantees are best part of 108 million. He did a 4-year deal. So whoever negotiated that, I don't want to be the general manager of the Bears. Thank you. That's
Wow.
what we'll do.
Well, all right.
Getting
We'll
out
wrap
of
it
that.
up on this note. Yujita, good luck in the playoffs against Tom Brady. You're in a good position. You've
Let's
got the
go.
draft picks. If you lose,
Let's
you
go.
say you lost to Tom Brady, so there's no shame in that. Andy, good luck to the New England Patriots. It's going to be a close game, I think, but hopefully Bill Belichick will show us why he's the GOAT. Chicago, Houston, Carolina. Maybe next year we'll be talking
maybe
about
next
you this time of the year. I don't know.
There's
All
always
right.
next season. Yeah, there's always.